So, welcome to Borrow Time. I'm Janine Lang, a startup coach, author, and entrepreneur. Now, in this podcast series, startups are learning how to take months, if not years, off of their startup journey because successful business owners are sharing with us their secrets about some of the biggest mistakes that they made, what it cost them, and most powerfully, what are some of the lessons that they had to learn the hard way, especially in those early days? Now, by sharing some of these secrets with startups, I'm hoping that you can learn from those lessons, accelerate your journey, learn faster, and succeed sooner. So, my guest today is James Howard, the founder of Family History Studio. Welcome, James.
Oh, thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Great. Well, wonderful to have you. Can you tell us a little bit about Family History Studio?
Yeah, Family History Studio is it's a video production business that I founded about 2.5 years ago, and we produce biographies for families, and they're particularly for seniors to leave their memories and experiences to future generations in their family. And we also do what we call bio shorts called Milestone Minis, and as the title suggests, they're short videos that just focus in on a milestone in somebody's life. For example, just a graduation or wedding couples embarking on a life together, anniversaries, retirements, and etc. and more. And yeah, and those are also for people who are looking for something not just specific, but also something that is on a lower budget and more affordable scale.
Yeah, that sounds like tremendously rewarding work. Wow. What inspired you to start that business, James?
Yeah, basically I've been on and off for about 3 decades. I've been producing videos, various kinds, particularly documentaries, but also educational and promotional videos, even a couple of ads along the way. But over COVID, when we all had time to think about what's going on in our lives, take some stock, I was thinking about what direction I wanted to go in my life, professionally and also with my family. And that got me thinking about a couple of videos I did in my own family. One, my grandmother, 25 years ago. I did a biography on her life just after she turned 91. And this was in the late 1990s. And 6 months later, she was gone. And I almost missed the boat on that. And then years later, I was able to put that together into a biography. And then I did one on my father as well. And this is before I was married and my children were born.
Right.
And then he passed away just before my first son was born. Yeah. And so when I finally got that video completed, I realized, my gosh, this is really priceless. The only, besides my own anecdotes, this is the only way my children will really learn about my grandfather or their grandfather, excuse me.
Sure.
That just over COVID, I really started thinking about those two videos and how much meaning they had in my life. And then began to think, well, maybe other families would like this service. And so I founded Family History Studio just towards the tail end of COVID. And off I went. It's been an exciting ride so far.
Yeah, what an inspiring story. And we often hear that from entrepreneurs. They went through a personal journey, in your case, a loss and two losses. But what a tremendous gift that you have now to give, like you say, not just yourself, but your family and your son, the gift of hearing the messages of people that sadly have left us. So
that's right. And now my daughter too. Yeah, now I've got the two. So yeah, they're kind of young to appreciate them yet, but as they get a little older, I think they'll be really ready to sit down. I mean, they're asking about my dad, but so we've shared stories, but they've only, they'll be ready not too long. Hopefully in the next 2 or 3 years, we'll be able to sit down and have a good screening on it. But it's there. That's the point. It's always there. And to me, they're just priceless. And also when I miss them, I can look at it and
Yeah.
all these memories come back to me as well. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we've been doing it for years with wedding albums, right? We obviously do that, and the videographer will hire for that special day so that you can capture those moments. Because as you say, I loved your word, it's priceless, that gift of that memory that we can bring forward. So that's special. And I'm sure that there's incredibly satisfying moments for you as you're putting together these videos and these creations and working closely with the family. So
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
yeah, awesome. Well, and it probably wasn't every day a rosy journey. So tell us, James, what's one of the biggest mistakes or failures or just setbacks that you had to face in your business and what it cost you in terms of time?
Of course. Okay. Basically, yeah, the one that really comes to mind, I mean, we all make mistakes and I've done my share. I'll put it this way.
We all have.
Yes, yes, and I think I like your focus on this too because I think it'll lead to a lot of nodding heads to your listeners. It's like, oh yeah, yeah, okay, that's important. Okay, I may have done that myself, but basically, getting started, and I was actually quite fortunate because I mentioned the idea to a few friends right off the bat, and there was an immediate excitement, a positive reaction to it, and I got projects right away just after I finished my website and all the packaging plans and the pricing and all that. I gotten that all figured out, and so I was off to the races right at the beginning. So I did not put, or I should say, I put a very small amount into the marketing of Family History Studio, thinking that great, okay, I'm just going to live off of referrals. And that is a big no-no. I would suggest to people, don't do that, even if you do get off to that positive start. And yes, the referrals have been fantastic, and they still are, but don't rely on those. So basically, what I'm suggesting is, develop a good marketing plan right off the beginning and start executing it. And don't get lazy about it. Be persistent, tenacious,
Yeah.
and try to become as savvy as you can, whether it be a social media approach to your marketing, or even if you do a more traditional route, if you have the budget to advertise in local magazines, or even if you can get a radio spot, great. But yeah, whatever your plan is, try begin it early and start executing it early.
Yeah, that's valuable lessons for sure that you learned. So if you had to quantify it, what would you say that cost you in terms of time?
Yeah, a very important question, especially as I look back. I would say it would probably somewhere in the area of a year. That I would say I could be that much further along had it been a lot more just assertive and self-assertive to
Yeah.
yeah to get the marketing plan going earlier, and also because I'm not gonna lie here. Look, I'm not a spring chicken anymore, and the idea of like social media posting and things like that, I think for the young people is a tremendous advantage because they're a lot more savvy in that area than us older folks. And for me, really doing more regular posting on LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram and the like. That it's taken me longer to really become more comfortable and at least feeling capable to do it.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
I kind of envy the younger people who
Yeah.
for many, I wouldn't say all, but for many it's somewhat second nature to
Yeah.
just to fire something off on Instagram
Yeah.
and things like that. So yeah, that's something I really wish I had become more comfortable doing much earlier.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. And I'm listening firsthand as well, because I made that same mistake. I felt so uncomfortable on Instagram at first. And I thought, is it supposed to feel like this? And so you really have to just put yourself out there. If you
Right.
wait for that confidence to come, then it'll never happen. So you just have to push yourself, because you're absolutely right, James. I don't know what business is going to do well without a social media presence in this day and age. So it's something that I think you have to learn, any business owner. So it's great advice in terms of the sooner you start putting yourself out there and getting comfortable with social media, then the sooner you're going to build that pipeline, which, as you say, is so valuable, right? Like that's the
Absolutely essential. And I think as well, and I started off as a solopreneur. I mean, I still essentially am, but I bring people I bring people aboard when I need a certain aspect of my business done. And I feel I don't have the time or necessarily even the expertise to do it. So another thing I also would advise people, if you can, if you're starting off on your own, even if you can bring someone aboard to take care of that side of social media posting. If you're not totally comfortable about it, find someone early to help you with things like that. And I'm now bringing, as I just said, I'm bringing people aboard to carry out certain tasks, even creative tasks for my business, because when I'm interviewing people, I'm really focusing on the storyteller.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be spending so much time focusing on the two cameras that are beside me. And I've found that's quite exhausting when I'm doing it all myself, which I can do, but it's tiring and it can be distracting, and that can affect the quality of the product, which is obviously my first and foremost focus.
Exactly.
And so bring people aboard that you can, be prepared for that, as opposed to, so you're not caught like, oh man, oh geez, I wish I'd had someone else to help me here, and it's a little late. That's a scary feeling.
For sure. And if you saw me just taking a note, it's because that's some great advice that I've had to learn the hard way as well. That what is your role really as the business grows? And so many people, James, just don't recognize that it's time. They think they're too small to be bringing other resources on board. But when you're clear about your role and what's the most important thing, I teach this in the course, the entrepreneurship program. What's those must do things that only you as the founder can do, and it really is your gift of listening and having people open up and sharing their experiences. That's really the nuance and the gift that you bring. Some of the other administrative stuff, some of the other technical stuff, knowing that you can delegate that down or outsource and have other people manage that means, I love that. You're totally focused in the present and on the people that you're engaging with instead of, right? Too many balls.
Absolutely. Yeah. And also especially if you feel those are your strengths, focus on your strength. And don't be afraid to say, okay, I'm not as good at a certain aspect, so I'm going to delegate that out. And don't be too proud to do that.
Yeah, that's exactly the word for sure. Humility is the wonderful attribute. Let's face it, every day is a humbling experience, right? When there's so many gifts and so much to learn, truly.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
You've obviously had some successes as well. So what's one big success or win that really comes to mind that you're particularly proud of?
Well, with Family History Studio, the one that first comes to my mind is the first project I did. It was sort of a mid-range project. It was originally supposed to be about 30 minutes long. It got longer to about 45 minutes, but that's okay because there was there's so much interesting content that went into it. And when the video was finally done, the first one I completed, it was a home run. I mean, it was so well received by the family, and but it gave me such a wonderful feeling, a very warm feeling, because when you're working with these families, you get quite attached to them. You get close to them, and so you want them to really, really enjoy what you're doing for them. And so when I got that really positive, exciting response, it made my year. It's, the expression, it makes my day. No, it made my year. I would just and it also gave me the confidence to know that I can do it. It wasn't just something I could do for my family. I can do it for other families. And it's, that gave me a lot of confidence.
For sure. And that is a huge win. So first of all, congratulations. As soon as you get that first success, right? That first client, that is a huge accomplishment. And I sense from you all that validation back, right, that you got
Yes,
from that
indeed.
experience. But what I'm also hearing, James, is a tremendous passion that you have for it whatever you speak. What it's just such a tremendous passion that you have for what you're doing. And that's obviously got to
Indeed.
come across in your work because you obviously care about what you do, the families who you do it for, and that quality, as you said, is what's going to be the final product there, right?
Yeah, because to me it's about, I mean, I really enjoy doing meaningful work. Look, don't get me wrong. I enjoy earning a good income like anybody else. But I feel, I mean, I don't expect to get rich doing something like this because I'm also, I'm still in the process of scaling it up, and that's taking
Yep.
time. But at this stage, though, to me, it's it's the meaningfulness of it that is really driving me, first and foremost. And then I'm really hoping that it can sustain, financially and economically, so that I can get the best of both worlds.
Exactly. Well, I think that's everybody's dream, James, to be able to live their purpose and do meaningful work. And if it's lucrative enough to achieve their financial goals, to pay the bills, whatever your goal is in that space, then it,
Yeah,
it really ticks all the boxes. So
it
couldn't be
does. It does.
you've
'Cause,
done that.
I mean, I've done all sorts of different videos, and even, for a while, I was doing other things. I was going outside the video production sphere for quite a while, along the way, and coming back to it. A big reason why I came back to it was because Family History of Studio just sort of came into my head, and I just thought, wow, what a great way to use my skills. That that can be really satisfying at the same time, and the fact that I'm discovering that, okay, AI has come along and that threatens a lot of creatives, but I'm finding still there is still a market for it. And I'm aware of a lot of the changes that are going on in the creative, spheres in our economy, but at the same time, I still think there's a viability to it because AI doesn't interview people, or at least not in the, maybe it will at some point, but it doesn't, not in the way that would make it engaging on video, as far as I'm concerned so far. And of course, structuring the story afterwards, I still believe that the human touch can make that final product that much better. And I'm keeping my faith going in that, and because it's something I really love to do, and I really love working with families and I learn a lot each interview I do, each project I do, I learn a lot.
For sure. Well, you're talking to people every day, and you're obviously a strong people person. So you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. That empathy, I can't imagine that AI is ever going to replicate that. That.
Well, I hope not. At least not to the point where I think families would search for it. But I don't know. But right now, I still have the conviction that that one-on-one interview is
Yeah.
it's very special. And if it's I think it really comes through, on the in the video. Even though you don't see me, you don't
Yeah.
even hear me in the final product,
Oh,
that
okay.
person is responding to me and we're talking together,
Right.
and then even though I edit myself out of the final video, but it's really it's the battery, it's the foundation
Yes.
of each
Wow.
video I do. Yeah.
Exactly. You're not just leaving a legacy behind for your family, you're leaving a legacy behind for the families that you're serving. So
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
such a gift for
Absolutely.
sure.
Yeah.
Is there any other final advice that you would offer for startups? There's just been so much richness in what you said and so many great lessons already. Any
Yeah.
other final thoughts?
Yeah, I some final thoughts also. I think all it's sort of harkens back to what I said about the marketing, starting it early. But because also I got off to a very quick start. I didn't, I mean, I was given the advice even at the very beginning on, on business podcasts and things like that. I listened to a lot of those. And do take the business plan seriously. Planning is a very important aspect of things. And because, like, I did a lot of planning, don't get me wrong. I had my packages all ready before I started this thing, the pricing, I had the website all up and running. But also, I think really set, like, at the beginning of each year, even if you've missed the beginning and you're somewhere in like say now or in May, don't hesitate to sit back and actually plan through your income projections, your target audience, like all the aspects of planning for each year. Take the time to do that. I really think that's important. Even if you think, oh, I don't need that. I'll just sort of wing it and I'll just sort of go along as things progress. Yeah, that's fine. I did that in the first year, but at the same time, now spending more time on like, okay, what do I want to accomplish this year? How many projects do I want to do, say, from my perspective? And how much income do I project to earn, that sort of thing. Write that stuff down. Do a plan each year. I advise that.
Yeah, I love those words of advice. And it's also your takeaway really is about setting those goals and having something to measure against. Because
Yeah,
if you never say how many projects you're aspiring to do, then I think it was Zig Ziglar that said, right, something about not giving us something to aim at. And
right.
so it is so important because what's our definition for success might be 5 projects or 10 projects or whatever that looks like for you.
Yeah,
But if you don't aim at something and set a goal, then you're not giving yourself the gift of being able to measure against that and know that you're progressing and having those wins.
that's right. No, planning is important, and that's something I take a lot more seriously now. Absolutely.
Yeah, excellent. Terrific. Well, thank you so much for generously taking time out of Family History Studios a day
Oh, my
and
pleasure. I love it.
sharing these lessons. This has just been so invaluable. I can't thank you enough. And just lots of words of wisdom and lots of hopefully borrowed time back to our startups who are listening out there. Thank you again. It's been an absolute pleasure spending time with you, James.
Oh, well, thanks so much for having me, Janine. I enjoyed every minute.
Great. Thanks, folks. All right. Believe in yourself.